You're tuned in to Super Talk 1270 and Free for All Friday. Compelling local talk at 11 o'clock. Free for All Friday features groups and organizations that are plugged into progress here in Central North Dakota. Our rotating panel includes members of the Bismarck Downtowners, the Mandan Progress Organization, the Bismarck-Mandan Chamber of Commerce, and representatives from Pride of Dakota. You're invited to call in and join the discussion. It's Free for All Friday on Super Talk 1270.
And welcome to the Free for All Friday program. This is the Pride of Dakota edition. I'm Scott Wald, and with me is Kelly Wald, marketing specialist for the Pride of Dakota program. Kelly, how are you?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. How are you today,
You're doing pretty
Scott?
good. Seems like you have one of those fall, colds.
I do, and I blame it on the fall weather.
It's all right
this week.
I know. It got a little chilly, and it's a lot of rain. And we don't normally get rain in August, so that's got a little bit of weird. So,
looking forward to the weekend, though.
But it's so awesome to see you anyways, and we're going to have another great show today, and looking forward to it. And, of course, the man who makes us sound so silky smooth and is shown here actual size, Super Talk 1270's very own Jim Walsh.
Hello.
How are you, man?
Not too shabby.
Excellent. Thank you for what you do for us. We appreciate it. Hey, if you want to listen to the show online or find replays of the podcasts, you can visit the website supertalk1270.com, or you can check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/supertalk1270. And, of course, you can check out Pride of Dakota at facebook.com/Pride of Dakota.
Yes, sir.
So today we're going to be talking with Troy Geist. He's with the North Dakota Council on the Arts. We'll be learning more about the products and services that they offer, not only the artists of North Dakota, but also some of the products that are available to us as the consumers.
Right. Very
cool.
excited.
Yeah, before we talk to Troy, though, let's talk about what's going on in the world of Pride of Dakota.
The world of Pride of Dakota. It just keeps getting busier and busier. This is probably the most fun time of year for me. Give it a couple weeks and I'll be running around like a crazy lady. But
a different level of crazy.
Yes. So actually next month we have our annual Fall Pride of Dakota Day at the Capitol on Thursday, September 11th, which is it's part of the Council of State Employees Appreciation Week that they do. So on Thursday, September 11th, you can come up to the Capitol from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and shop from just about 50 different North Dakota companies.
I know you have them on all different levels.
We do. We're on the west end of the ground floor, and we're upstairs in the Memorial Hall and Legislative Hall. So stop by and check it out. We've got a lot of new members that'll be there, so we'll have some fun and interesting things to see this time.
And we're over 500 members now. I mean, we've been for a while.
We are. We're actually up right around 520.
That's amazing.
Last time I checked.
You know, I kind of look at this Pride of Dakota Day as sort of calisthenics or stretching for the big season that's ahead of the major showcases. So it's kind of a way to limber up and practice your booth hopping.
Yes, it's a nice little warm up.
Yeah, it is. And there are lots of different. I mean, again, the variety there is absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah, food, books, art, just about everything you can possibly think of.
Yep. And I don't remember if I asked you this last time, but are they serving the lunch this year, or they're not serving the lunch this year?
They aren't, unfortunately. Okay. So the Capitol Cafe is still under construction.
Right.
They're
but
up
next
on
year.
8. Yep, next year. So in March we'll be working with those guys again.
So quite a day. And then the showcase season is upon us.
They are. Our first one kicks off out in Dickinson at the Rec Center on the 20th and 21st of September. Okay. Right now we've got right around 80 vendors signed up. So you can come out there for 2 days of fun, lots of great samples to try.
Yep.
Just a really good way to get an early jump on your holiday shopping.
I remember when those showcases in Dickinson were just in Williston, even they were just a few vendors, and it was just really, really tiny, and they're really starting to take off.
Yeah, the western part of the state is really, really being very pleasant towards Pride of Dakota, and we love being out there. We love that we can take these shows to the different corners of the state. So
absolutely.
We really enjoy it. And this year, again, we are going to be running so it's a $2 admission. Okay. And if you donate a fresh produce item, you can save $1 on admission, and then we'll turn around and donate that produce to a local organization.
Okay. And are you doing the thing where they bring the bags in?
Yes, okay. That also. So in all 6 of the showcases, actually the 2 harvest showcases and then the 4 holiday showcases, you can also receive $1 off your admission if you bring in a reusable cloth bag to do your shopping with. And if not, we've got one for you.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're in Dickinson, and then the next month, October 18th and 19th, we jump over to Williston for the second Harvest Showcase. Yeah. Super excited this year. We've got some new fun stuff in the works. We're actually trying to get a band lined up to have some fun music there on Saturday, and talking about having a kids corner with all kinds of different activities. So it'll be a family event.
How fun is that? To bring the entire family and get a lot of your holiday shopping or birthday shopping or whatever.
Yes, absolutely. Come check it out. And then our holiday showcases start off up in Grand Forks the 8th and 9th of November.
Okay.
Weekend after that, the 15th and 16th of November, we move over to Minot. And then we are in Fargo November 21st through the 23rd. That's a 3-day event. So we start on Friday night and then go all day Saturday and most of the day Sunday. And then we wrap up back here in Bismarck at the Civic Center December 5th through the 7th. Super exciting. It's crazy. Like, our office is buzzing already.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's what other opportunity you have to come and hang out with 10,000 of your best friends.
It's so fun. And literally get all of your holiday shopping done, and know that the money you're spending on friends and family is staying in the state. Like, you're buying from your neighbors down the street. Mm-hmm. It's just a great opportunity.
And these, just to let you know how into these shows the vendors are. I mean, these things book out, or overbook like within minutes of the opening up the registration. I mean, literally the same day they're sold out. I know a lot of vendors who are currently like stocking up right now, so that they want to make sure that they have plenty of produce and products on hand and available. And if they do run out, which does happen, because we just literally get 10, 15,000 people through the Civic Center here in Bismarck. I mean, it's crazy. They might run out, but you know what? When you can special order and you can get same day special pricing sort of thing.
Right. Yep. They're great to work with, and they want to make sure you've got what you need for the holiday season. So yeah, even if they, like you said, even if they run out, they are more than happy to take an order and get it to you.
Yeah, I know that a lot of them bring a lot of game to the table, though. They bring a lot of products.
Oh, they do. They do. It's
So then October is also the Pride of Dakota School Lunch Day. Why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, yeah. We just sent the information out on that. Wednesday, October 1st is the annual Pride of Dakota School Lunch Day.
Oh, that's my daughter's birthday.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I'm going to tell her that you're doing that.
Wonderful.
She'll feel good.
Basically, it's just an opportunity for us to really provide some resources to the school lunch folks and to schools to help remind kids that, your school lunch is actually grown here in the state. It comes from agriculture, and to make that tie for them, and to give the schools some great ideas for lunch menu items they can feature. And so we have some different posters and things that we provide to schools, and menu ideas and all that kind of fun stuff.
Great. And so what is being served? Do we know?
Well, we come up with a menu of a few different things, and then the schools have an opportunity to select from there. Yep. And then one lucky school will get to actually have lunch with the agriculture commissioner.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we're actually going to do things a little different this year. We're going to do a contest this year for next year. So the winning school of that contest will get to have lunch with the commissioner next year.
Right on. How fun is that going to be?
It's good time.
So promoting agriculture, promoting North Dakota companies, I mean, that's really what Pride of Dakota is all about. Lots coming up. You can find more information on the website at prideofdakota.com and events. When we come back from the break here, we're going to be visiting with Troy Geist with the North Dakota Council on the Arts. You stick around. We look forward to having that conversation with you and Troy next.
Right now, it's 72.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
And welcome back to the Free for All Friday program. This is the Pride of Dakota edition. Scott Wald, Kelly Wald, Jim Walsh. And on the phone, we have Troy Geist. Troy is with the North Dakota Council on the Arts. Troy, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
We're so glad to have you on the show today, Troy. So could you start off maybe telling us a little bit about specifically what the Council of the Arts is and what their function is?
Sure. The North Dakota Council on the Arts, we're a state agency, and we're charged with helping to preserve and encourage the growth of arts throughout our state, reaching into many different communities and many different types of functions for arts in our state.
So when you talk about arts, what does that all specifically encompass?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of different things that entails, everything from visual arts to painting, to sculpture, to poetry, to creative writing, to traditional arts like American Indian flute players, to saddle makers to blacksmiths. So we cover the whole range of types of arts involved in North Dakota.
So, Troy, I understand that you are an artist yourself.
Well, no, actually, I'm not an artist. I'm the folklorist with the North Dakota Council on the Arts.
Okay.
Okay. So
I work primarily with preservation, continuation of folk and traditional arts in our state.
I think that's an artist.
I think so too.
Someone who's passionate about that art and the stuff that you create, I think it's fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about the target audiences that really, who are your target audiences for the Council on the Arts? I mean, besides the artists themselves who are helping.
Well, actually, we really are a service agency in the sense that we find it to be our mission to serve everybody in the state, as many people as we can in all walks of life. So we tailor our programs to and our efforts to reach as many different people as possible, not just the artists who are, of course, utmost important, but also those people who are affected by arts. And one of the things that we believe in is illustrated throughout our state is that art is not just something that people do along the sidelines. It's not a hobby. It's things that is a part of our lives. And we may not realize it, but art touches all of us. So when we develop our programs and projects, we do that in such a way that we want to reach as many different people, as many different walks of life as possible.
So what do you see as some of the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities that artists in North Dakota have?
Well, I think in our area, I think one of the biggest challenges really is, even though it's 2014, we still have, we're still a relatively isolated state within the country. Our infrastructure, and in terms of physical kind of things, but also those non-physical infrastructure kind of elements are lacking for us in comparison to some other parts of the country and other states. So it's that sense of isolation and that lack of infrastructure, both physical and non-physical, that are hurdles. But that in itself, though, also is an opportunity for us. It makes us here in North Dakota to be much more creative in terms of how we deal with issues or challenges or hurdles in our communities. You have, for example, in small towns, you have volunteer EMT kind of departments. We have long-distance learning kind of things. Our area is known for that, and those were reactions to those hurdles, that sense of isolation. So we do have, both a challenge, but it also forces us to be creative.
Sure. And I know that, when you kind of talk about that lack of infrastructure, from a marketing standpoint, that can be maybe disadvantages in an art that kind of requires sort of that physical presence. Not every single piece of art translates the same into social media or online. And so just by sheer lack of foot traffic or eyeballs actually staring at the piece of art or experiencing the piece of art, that can be, that makes sense. And by the fact of getting creative and maybe using, as many of the social tools that can help maybe get that message out there, that's pretty important.
It's very important. And even the lack of population concentration, where other places have large populations that pull together, they can pull together even a small proportion of the population, and it draws in huge numbers. Well, we don't have that here. And, of course, many of us in North Dakota think that's a good thing. But it does create a challenge when it comes to marketing.
Sure.
So does the North Dakota Council on the Arts have specific programs set up that are designed to really help get arts out into those really remote areas, into the small rural communities around the state?
Yeah, we do. We feel it's really important to do that. We have developed different programs for that. For example, we have a community arts access program, which is a small grant program for communities of 2,000 people or less, or 5,000 people or less. And, that reaches many, many communities in our state. Most of them, actually, are 5,000 or less. And so we have that program that's geared primarily for those smaller communities. We also have, special projects grants, which are available to different organizations throughout the state, regardless of their size of the community from which they come. It's interesting sitting on grant panels in Washington, D.C. and reading grants from other states. And I remember reading a grant from New York State once, and there was a county that was applying for a grant, and they were talking about how they're underserved and rural, and that county only had 250,000 people. And I kind of had to laugh because for them, they thought 250,000 people in a county was, in a small county, was rural and underserved. Well,
that's half our state.
That makes me feel a little claustrophobic.
Exactly. So it's all relative, I guess.
Absolutely. So the dollars that the Council on the Arts has available, are they all, for the grant programs and things, are they all state allocated, or are there some federal programs that funnel through the state?
There are federal funds that require a state match. So as long as we have enough state funds to cover those federal dollars, those will come in. But we also augment and leverage funds from foundations through our efforts that may not necessarily come to us, but go to other organizations or people that we work with. We kind of serve as that mediator to kind of make that happen. When we talked about, for example, lack of infrastructure and access being a challenge, North Dakota is one of the states that is served least by foundations. There's only a couple of large foundations that serve North Dakota. So in terms of those foundations that support kind of efforts throughout our area in lots of different things, North Dakota ranks near the bottom, actually, unfortunately. But with those organizations or those few foundations that do serve us, we work with them to help communities and artists access those funds.
Can you give us an example of a couple of the organizations that you're talking about, or foundations?
Well, I can give you an example of an individual, for instance. Mary Louise Defender Wilson is a wonderful traditional Dakota Sioux storyteller. She lives in a tiny, tiny little community on Sand Rock Reservation. There's a community of about 50 people in this community. And she's an elder, and was involved in our programs periodically, doing storytelling. And through that exposure, she's come to be known and recognized with national awards as one of the best traditional storytellers in the country. And it was through that ongoing work where she would go in and record stories, traditional stories, go into schools and tell these traditional stories. She's been invited to give presentations on traditional stories to NASA. These wide, very different areas. She's been invited overseas to tell stories now. Well, through this periodic work, here's this person, this elder who does not have much money, is able to get exposure for her talents and to generate some income through this and build a portfolio of activities and stuff like that would make her competitive for different artist fellowships, for instance, or other types of fellowships outside of our region. And she built this resume through these different kinds of things with council help, so that she was one of the few people who received a Bush Foundation Enduring Vision Award, which was a fellowship award of $100,000. So through those kind of ancillary support of artists, helping them grow with their art and with their skills, they then can access these opportunities outside of our region, which brings in communities and brings in funds and opportunities to our area. So, that's one example.
Sure. Well, when you talk about Mary Louise Defenders Wilson, ironically, I actually have one of her CDs, and I received it when I was taking a tour of Makoche Studios here in Bismarck. And when we're going to step out and take a quick break, Troy, and when we come back, let's talk a little bit about some of the other products and services, including some of those books and CDs that you have and kind of the reach that you have with some of those. And I'd like to get into some of the other programs that you're working with as well, too. So when we come back, we're visiting with Troy Geist with the North Dakota Council on the Arts. He's a folklorist. Stick around.
Right now, 75.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
And welcome back. Free for All Friday program, Pride of Dakota edition. Scott Wald, Kelly Wald, Jim Walsh. And on the phone, we're visiting with Troy Geist. He is the folklorist with the North Dakota Council on the Arts. Troy, welcome back.
Hi, Scott.
So before the break, Troy, we were talking about the different grants and things that are available through the North Dakota Council on the Arts. How would an artist or an organization or community really go about accessing those and learning about the different grant opportunities that are available through the council?
Well, they could actually just go to our website, www.nd.gov/arts, and check out our website. We have all our grant programs and descriptions right online. And people could also feel free to call 701-328-7590. We really try to help out as much as we can and be creative in whatever help we can provide. I just kind of want to also mention one of the things that we have been doing, too, in terms of, in our state, there's kind of a renaissance in a way of people, communities, small communities, saving buildings that are important to their area, whether it's old opera houses or different historical kind of buildings or churches. And while we cannot use our grant funds to renovate or keep those kind of structures up, we can support, for example, music performances and concerts that would take place in those facilities. So those facilities become an integral part of the community again.
That's excellent. So can you talk about some of the other programs that you have available? I understand you also do some work with schools.
Yes. We have a very robust arts education program and a couple of programs where we teacher incentive programs and artist in residence programs where schools can apply to bring artists into the school to work with the school children, K through 12. And this is really important. There's multiple studies throughout the country that have shown the importance of arts in learning and how, especially in early childhood development too, how arts helps develop the mind for children to succeed in school.
Sure.
So we really do focus on arts education and have a really strong arts education program in our state.
That's great. And I know another one of the programs that you guys offer is the Art for Life program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Art for Life program really it's a wonderful program. This is a program where we partner with local arts agencies and elder care facilities throughout the state where we utilize art, folk and traditional arts, contemporary arts, to help improve the emotional and physical health of elders in our long-term care facilities or in our other elder care facilities. And this is a program that has had tremendous impact on the emotional and physical health of our elders in the care facilities that we're working with. So much so that when we did our pilot study with this effort, we've received requests for information about the program from states throughout the country, Alaska, Florida, Texas, all over. And this effort really grew out of this need to deal with our aging population, to deal with with the sense of isolation that we have, but to do it in a creative and cost-effective and community-minded way. And we've really become known throughout the country as one of the states leading the way in this creative way to improve elders' health.
That's absolutely fantastic.
You know, and as I listen to this, I mean, you've got programs in schools. You're working with K through 12, and you're working in elder care facilities. You know, really, the bottom line is art is life, right? I mean, regardless of what age you are. And I mean, to me, it seems like when we're young, right, we're all artists. We're all musicians. We're all dancers. And then through our training in life, we are deprogrammed to know that we, have these abilities, or, and I saw an interesting speaker one time, and he said, everyone in the room, stand up if you can sing. And hardly anyone stood up. And he says, stand up if you can draw. And hardly anyone stood up and danced. So he went through all of that. And then he said, let me re-ask the question. He goes, I didn't ask whether you could sing well or draw well or dance well. I just asked if you could sing or if you could draw. And then all of a sudden, everyone stood up. And so I think that we are programmed that, as we get older, I'm not a really good singer, therefore I shouldn't do it. Or I'm not a good painter, therefore I shouldn't paint. Or I'm not an artist. And it really seems like you kind of help sort of pull that out of people regardless of their age.
I think we do. I think we are kind of programmed to consider ourselves not an artist unless we've gone to training, had school training to do it, or we don't want to, small towns, we don't want to kind of appear to be standing above anybody else or out of the crowd, so we pull that in. But there's another factor to that, too. I think oftentimes I work with folk and traditional artists, and I'll talk with, for example, a blacksmith. And the work that some of them are doing is just fantastic. It's just beautiful work, some of it. And I start talking to them about as an artist, and they don't even see themselves as an artist. It's just something they do.
Right.
There's quilters in the state who have done just tremendous, beautiful work, but they don't necessarily see themselves as artists. Sometimes it takes somebody from outside of the community or outside the family to recognize that person and point out, yes, you are an artist, and this is why.
Well, I think those people that don't recognize what they do as true art, those are people that, to me, are just following what they are really passionate about.
Right.
And when you follow your passion, it's effortless. And it doesn't seem like, I'm making a conscious decision to be an artist. It's just that what I do is so passionate and it connects with so many other people that it moves them and they look at it as art.
Absolutely. And one of the great things about our state, working in this area, you have a chance to see what's going on in other parts of the country. And what I'm really proud about in our state is we live the arts, and we live the folk and traditional arts especially. So, for example, at Easter, in the Ukrainian parts of North Dakota, Belfield, Fairfield, Dickinson, that whole area, there are people who, they make these beautiful Ukrainian Easter eggs.
Yeah, they're
enormously elaborate. Every color has a meaning. Every symbolism has a meaning. How you put them together in a combination creates a specific meaning or message that person creates when they give it to the person they're going to give it to. So it's a whole message there. Well, there are other places in the country where, and other people who know how to do this art technically, but they don't know the meaning, or they don't know how to put the different colors and images together to create a holistic message. Well, people here in our state still can. And not only do they make the eggs, though, they take the eggs to church on Easter to be blessed.
Wow.
That's part of the tradition. They'll take the egg and they'll place it in the barn in springtime, because they believe that the magical and religious and spiritual power, the fertility power of the egg, will transfer to the cattle and create, healthy calves that are born. There are eggs. These eggs, there are sometimes a hole is dug in the corner of the field, and the egg is placed in the corner of the field, believing that the religious and fertile power of the egg will transfer to the seeds and cause a bountiful harvest. So we're talking about these traditions that are not just done separately, but they're part of an integrated whole of the community. They're a part of our community. So in that sense, they don't see necessarily it as an art sometimes. They just see it as, well, this is just part of our life.
It's pretty profound when you think about that.
Yeah.
Very profound when you think about the meaning. If some people, you're right, they kind of the paint by number set, and they, as long as they get the colors that are supposed to be there, great, it's done. But other people, really know what the meaning is behind that, and how much deeper it can go, spiritually and emotionally, which is where we really make that connection. I think that's fascinating about those eggs. I didn't realize that people did that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it even transfers to, like, stories, traditional stories. We live in a world where our language is getting so precise that in the world of computers and binary code, specific things mean very, very specific things now. And in traditional storytelling, people can listen to a traditional story told by somebody like Mary Louise Defender Wilson. Mm-hmm. But if they really think about that story, there is deep philosophical kind of things that are being explained and multiple meanings within that story. You can't just look at that story as a literal story. You got to look at all the different meanings that they're conveying throughout. And this is too as part of education, and it is something that again is lived in our state.
And I think everyone's going to bring their own connection to the piece of art too, based on where I heard the music, where I heard the story, the surroundings I were in. I know that there are certain songs that I connect with Medora in the Badlands simply because that's when I experienced them for the first time, and I will forever have that moment and relive that moment. It's nostalgia, when I go back to a certain place in time, where I was happy because all these elements came together. It's not just musical notes and lyrics anymore. Right. It's a piece of my soul that was actually captured that day.
Well, and it changes. Traditional storytellers will tell you too. You could have a group of people there and of different ages, and each person is going to take something different from that experience than the other one based on where they're at in their life. So while you experience something and take away something when you attended the Medora play at one age, the next age it could be the same, 10 years there, it could be the same performance, but you take something different out of that.
Absolutely. We are talking about art and life and all the things that the North Dakota Council on the Arts do with Troy Geist. When we come back, we're going to talk about a few other projects that you have that are very interesting as well. You're listening to the Free for All Friday program, Pride of Dakota edition. We'll be right back.
Right now, 75.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
And welcome back to the Free for All Friday program. This is the Pride of Dakota edition. Kelly Wald, Scott Wald, Jim Walsh, and we've got Troy Geist from the North Dakota Council on the Arts. He is on the phone. We're talking about life, passion, the arts. It's amazing. I mean, Troy, I must say I'm a little envious of your position that you get to work with such a cool medium and variety of mediums on a daily basis.
I am very lucky to have this position. I'm very lucky to be able to work here in my home state, working with the people I get to work with. I agree.
Right on.
We were just talking during the break, and it's astounding to us. We can literally feel the passion in your voice about art and culture, and it's just, I think you do a great job there.
Absolutely. We're grateful that you're there doing it, and I know many people over there at the Council of the Arts. It's a great organization, and if you're listening to this and you want to check more out about them, go to nd.gov/arts. That is their website, or you can call for more information, 701-328-7590.
So before the break, we were talking about some of the other programs and projects that you have going, and we know that you were involved in actually a global project where you kind of represented North America, and it's called the Block Project. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Block is a really interesting project. It started out of an old carnival tradition in Switzerland, in this traditional part of Switzerland, where the last tree cut down in the season is hauled by procession from one small town to another small town, and then in the town square is auctioned off and cut up for lumber. Well, a few years ago, some artists from Switzerland purchased the tree, and they thought instead of just taking it from one community to the other one in Switzerland, let's take it around the world and have artists interact with the tree to explain who they are and what they're about to the rest of the world. So it's sort of like a global talking stick, if you know that tradition, right? So the continent that has that stick, that log, gets to speak about who they are to the rest of the world, and then it's passed on, and then that continent gets to speak, or that person gets to speak. So it went to Asia, and it went to Europe, of course, and then it came here to North Dakota to represent the North American continent. So there was a Swiss artist who we've been working with on some project, Barbara Hauser, who kind of connected us with those artists. They came over. We showed them around the state last summer or last fall. They loved the area. They loved the state. So they wanted to really make it happen to bring the tree here. So it came here from Europe, and we had artists work on it throughout the state. And it was here in July and August. And it went to Fargo, it went to Jamestown, Napoleon, Linton, Taylor, Spirit Lake Indian Reservation, Rugby, Turtle Mountain Indian Reservation, and back to Fargo. And as it traveled throughout the state, artists, especially traditional artists, interacted with the tree. And their work augmented or complemented the work that came before, so that by the time it left Fargo and then returned back to Fargo, went throughout the state, it was very different than what it was when it left. And it's very exciting because these folks are also making a documentary based on the travels of the tree. And people from Switzerland came over to be a part of this tour, and they were just very, very pleased with what was done with the tree. And oddly enough, Asia and Europe did not do anything physically to the tree. We here, of course, did. We saw the tree, and we wanted to carve on it. We wanted to paint on it. We wanted to have performances by it. So we did everything, and I think we represented North America really well.
So can you give me, I know this is a visual medium and we're on a radio show right now, but can you sort of give me a sense of like the size or scope of this tree? When you say tree, what's the best way to describe it? I mean, are you talking about a stick? Or are you talking about an actual tree? Or
it's a log. It's a spruce log, spruce tree, 17 feet long, 5,700 pounds.
Wow. I can imagine the postage is
huge. It's huge. But it's just people have connected with it, and how artists interacted with the tree to really show who they are and what they're about through that art was really amazing. And I think to have a documentary where North Dakota and our artists here are really going to be represented well in that documentary is a wonderful thing. Even though we're really in the news because of our energy and oil now, much of the state, much of the world still don't really know who we are as a state and as a people,
right.
And they really don't know. Well, they only know what they see in the news, and it's not always an accurate portrayal of who we are.
Sure.
So for this to happen, it's really good for us. We need to find who we are to the rest of the country before they try to tell us who they think we are.
So is North Dakota the only stop that this tree made in North America? Or did it travel to other areas? Or, I mean, I think this is very significant.
North Dakota is the only place. Came by ship to New York and took a railroad to Minneapolis, and from there, truck to North Dakota.
So
that is incredible.
Is this going to be like an annual thing? I mean, will this happen again next year, coming into North America?
This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, isn't it?
It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Once the tree goes to the other continents, it's going to go back to Switzerland, where the tree will become a part of the centerpiece of a global exhibit, and then artwork that was created from different people from around the world related to this project will also be part of that exhibit in Switzerland.
And North Dakota got to put North America's stamp on this thing. That is amazing.
Yep.
So when will this documentary, what are the time frames for this release? And
Well, they have to go to Africa, South America, and Australia next. So I'm thinking it's going to be 2-3 years at least.
Okay.
So are there like photos out there available of this, or are they kind of trying to keep that under wraps until the documentary is released?
Yes, there are photos, actually, quite a few photos. I don't know the exact website, but you could Google Bloch, B-L-O-C-H, and then North Dakota, and you'll find their website over there in Switzerland. And there'll be lots of images from North Dakota and North Dakota artists.
That
Awesome.
I mean, I love the concept of it traveling kind of from one place to the next. It's just such a unique project. It reminds me of another project that is similar, where you talk about traveling. Tell me a little bit about your Trails and Rails project.
Trails and Rails program. This is actually another one of those kind of projects where North Dakota has been really kind of leading the way. We partner with the National Park Service, and we put traditional artists onto the train on Amtrak as it travels between North Dakota and Montana and back. So the artists get on the train, they perform on the train, 3 20-minute performances on the way out, and then 3 20-minute performances on the way back. And they interact with people on the train. So people from all over the country, of course, are on the train, and they just go right through the state. Well, let's try to interact with them and show them who we are, what we're about, and entice them to come back to the state and to go away with a really good, positive feeling about our area. So we have American Indian flute players like Keith Bear perform on the train. We've had Irish storytellers like Debbie Rogers perform on the train. Gerald Slog, who's a great accordion player from Minot, perform on the train. It's just a wonderful program. And actually, a year ago, the North Dakota Council on Arts received a national award from the National Park Service for this program.
Fantastic. So how did you determine which artists you wanted to represent North Dakota on this train?
Well, it's a lot of different factors, everything from cost, where the artists are, and the quality and skill level of the artists. There's a lot of different factors. We don't have enough money or time to include everybody that we would like to.
Sure.
But we make our money stretch very far, and it only runs during June, July, and August. So there are a lot of different factors that are involved, and some things, like visual art, painting, for instance, can't really do that on the train because of the physical limitations of the train itself.
Sure. Troy, we could talk to you all day. Unfortunately, our time together is drawing to a close. Thank you so much for being a part of this and sharing. I know that you have books and CDs and collector Christmas ornaments that people can collect and learn about this information. I'm assuming they can find that on your website at nd.gov/arts.
Yes, they can. And with Christmas coming, do check it out, especially our newest book, Sundogs and Sunflowers, Folklore and Folk Art of Northern Great Plains, which covers every single county in our state, from ghost stories to folk medicine to folk art.
Sure. Troy, thank you so much. What a blessing to have you on the show and just such valuable information. Troy Geist is with the North Dakota Council on the Arts. On behalf of Kelly Wald and Jim Walsh, I'm Scott Wald saying see you next month on the Free for All Friday program, Pride of Dakota edition.
Thanks for joining us for Free for All Friday on Super Talk 1270, keeping you involved and informed on issues that impact our area. To find more local talk at 11 o'clock, keep your radios right here on Super Talk 1270.
ABC News, Super Talk 1270. Accurate news, stimulating talk. This is KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck.